Hello and welcome to another Company of Heroes 3 game. My name is Fancy Josh, and today I've got a game for you between Adrian and Calu as our Warmachect and Toucan Empire as our British. So this was another replay submitted to the Relic Discord server in the replays chat room. If you haven't checked out the Relic Discord before, I highly recommend it. A lot of cool channels, a lot of cool people. And they have a replay section that people ask for feedback and post cool replays, and this is one of them. Map today is going to be Road to Tunis. 4 quadrants, divided by a sort of cross of cutoff points. These cutoff points here are generally easier to take, and these ones on the edge tend not to be taken, but of course anything is possible. German player teching into the terror battle group and immediately getting access to the machine gun camouflage. This battle group's very popular, and you can see he's gone for a pioneer into 2 heavy machine guns to get the maximum benefit from that machine gun camouflage. British player, on the other hand, has gone for Royal Engineers into a Dingo. Dingo very popular right now. Has a ton of utility once it hits Veteran C1. Also good for chasing down motorbikes and other ultralight vehicles. It looks like it's going to tussle with this heavy machine gun. Diving on this heavy machine gun with the Dingo. Pioneer's here to help. Gonna need to bail out of there with that Dingo. Probably gonna get out okay. Do like the attempt there. If that heavy machine gun had been alone, then he could have potentially picked it up there. Saw our British player building barbed wire a second ago, but I'm not sure where he put that barbed wire. And hopefully I'm not misrepresenting the situation. All quiet for now. Heavy machine guns capping territory. Nice takeaway by our Toucan Empire here, picking up that cutoff point. Grenadiers coming in to rectify the situation, but still denying his opponent fuel for a short period of time is excellent. Royal Engineers pushing in these Pioneers. Pioneers going to have to give up the position. Dingo coming over to get repaired up. Infantry section sniffing around this bottom side. Royal Engineers also sniffing around, avoiding those heavy machine guns. Nicely done. Are going to get pinned down by this heavy machine gun on the bot side and have to give up the position. Infantry section defending this point, knowing those Grenadiers are in the area. They're going to hustle for a moment here. Surprised he chose to get back in that house knowing this heavy machine gun was there. Well, actually, he may not have known it was there, but coordinating a push here. Bringing in the Dingo to push away this heavy machine gun at the same time. Grenadiers getting involved, though. You may see them throw out a Panzerfaust. He hasn't teched up to it, so just kidding. Dingo bailing out. Might make it. Just barely. Royal Engineers getting behind these Pioneers. Nicely done. This was a well-executed fight by our British player. In general, attacking his opponent from multiple angles, taking favorable trades whenever possible. German player has added on a flamethrower, which is a little bit scary for our British player here. Infantry section taking this fight with those engineers in the house from long range, but with 2 Grenadier squads, this is not a sustainable position for our British player. So, our British player has gone for the heavy armor battle group, which is a little bit uncommon these days, so I'm curious what he wants to do with that. Might see him go for the Crusader. Might see him go for the Black Prince. If I had to guess, I would guess the Black Prince, but of course he has choices. So, Rail Engineers managed to repair up this scout car. Rail Engineer's going to get behind this heavy MG here. Infantry sections holding it down. Looks like our British player is going to win these fights across the board here. Might lose his engineer on the retreat, though. Just barely going to make it by the looks of it. Oh, I think the Grenadiers got involved there, picked him up. Nice micro by our German player to catch that unit on the retreat. Infantry section upgraded with this recce package, make them effective at long range, and also giving them access to the artillery flares, as well as usual flares. And here comes the scout car from our Warmachek player. Gonna bully his opponent around right up until the second that this armored car comes out from our British player. So, while this has been happening, players have had even control of the victory points. And while our British player has controlled less territory, he's controlled the same amount of fuel. So at the end of the day, I think both players are relatively even, although our German does have a munitions lead. Chasing down the scout car with the Humber armored car. Gonna pick him up there. Panzerfaust coming out. Hitting that armored car pretty hard there. But I do believe he's going to get out just fine. Don't think this is a spot he wants to stay. Not sure. Looks like he was scared about another Grenadier squad coming in from an angle. And the infantry sections are here to save the day. In fact, this is a huge surround by our British player, even throwing in the mark area, making those units easier to hit. Dingo engaging with these flamethrowers. Going to be somewhat of a stalemate in that heavy cover there. Toucan sending out a flare there to give him some vision over the center. And for just a moment there, the German player did control all the victory points, but looks like our British player is going to put a stop to that. Nice barrage, again, driving away those heavy machine guns. Like to see him move up here. He's otherwise engaged elsewhere. Trying to pick up this engineer on the retreat. Heavy machine gun locking down this area here. Dingo in position to deal some damage to this pioneer on the retreat, but I don't think he's going to get it. Scout car here to save the day. Dingo sees it. Big grenade hitting that infantry section in the house. Bailing out now. Get out of there, no problem. Armored car back up to full health, assisting his units over here. Surprising to me that our German player did add on another scout car, but of course he's upgraded it to the 221, making it effective against vehicles. In my opinion, this is a relatively even fight, but if the scout car gets the opening shot like that, the armored car is going to have to give it up. So I'm curious where our players want to go from here. German player's adding on a Jaeger. I think that's a good call. Doesn't really have any dedicated anti-tank other than his scout car. And in my opinion, it's a little risky to counter a unit with a unit. It is risky to try to deal with tanks with an armored car that can die in 2 shots. That's a dead Dingo here. Oh, a miss by the scout car, letting the Dingo get away. That's actually huge for our British player. Have a machine gun not facing the right way, but is going to reposition. Scout car back up to full health already. Armored car, I mean. Getting in there, dealing some damage to those to those grenadiers on the retreat, but Scout Guard going to keep them safe. Well, Engineer's picking up this bottom side. I like how active our British player's being. He's sending units to all areas of the map. And yeah, that's nicely done. And he's managed to keep both his vehicles alive, which is no small feat. So I'm over here thinking that I wouldn't mind seeing a mortar from our British player. It might be a little late for that. And most British players tend to say that they have the artillery barrage ability and they don't really need a mortar. But with all the heavy machine guns we're seeing from our German player, I would not mind seeing a mortar to try and deal with those positions, especially because this map tends to have a lot of fights that center right around this middle area here, and it's easy to rotate your mortar down to the bottom side or up to the top side as needed, especially when most of the fights take place here. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of players disagree with me, but no harm, no foul. Looks like our German player has upgraded this Jaeger squad to be anti-infantry, with the reconnaissance package making them extremely effective at long range. And our British player has gone for a second armored car. So I actually do think that 2 armored cars pretty handily beats a scout car, but this is rather risky because if the armored cars are caught by their lonesome, they're going to lose pretty hard. The scout cars, of course, our British player using combined arms, following units, infantry and vehicles working together. And he's playing really, really well with his armored cars, keeping them nice and far back. Now, as I say that, he charges into the scout car, and he is going to lose that unit to a nice Panzerfaust plus scout car there. Grenadiers might pick up this unit on retreat. That's pretty unfortunate for our British player there. And while this is happening, our German player is adding on a Wirbelwind Black Panzer. So that's going to be a bit scary for our British player to deal with here. Does not have any dedicated AT. And his armored car definitely does not trade well against a Flak Panzer. He is adding on an AT gun, anticipating that his opponent has fuel, so I absolutely love that decision. He does need some dedicated AT. It can be a little bit scary having an AT gun in the face of a Flak Panzer because the Flak Panzer can get on top of you. So I'd like to see him play really far back with the AT gun, but we'll see what he decides to do. Might try to pick up this Grenadier on the retreat. That would be really big for him. Is going to get it. That's really important. Puts him back in this game in a big way. In fact, he's picked up both Grenadiers. I did not see the first group die. He's actually in a pretty reasonable position, given that he's picked up both Grenadiers. So our German does have a strong vehicle presence right now, but without a strong infantry corps, it's going to be an uphill battle for him, I think. Of course, our German player's done an excellent job of controlling the victory points. Our British player is just fine in terms of health, but building himself a nice lead there. Good hit by this AT gun, again using combined arms here. Scout car, armored car, working alongside infantry, working alongside a heavy machine gun with an AT gun in the back. This is a very well-rounded composition. Scouting ahead with his Royal Engineers, knowing that he drove away the Flak Panzer. Infantry section pinned down here. Might pick up the Engineer. Another great pickup for our German player. Oh, excuse me, for our British player. So he should be feeling pretty good about this game right now. Has gone for a second AT gun. Again, I think this is a really well-rounded composition. Going to help him fight with anything that he needs to right now. Black Panzer dishing out some damage here in the middle. Scout car coming in to... Armored car coming in to smoke off the area here. Gonna let this Royal Engineers secure this point, or at least decapture it. Heavy machine gun fighting up with these infantry section. Funnily enough, our British player has managed to pick up a flamethrower there. I think that was a German flamethrower that he stole. Black Panzer attacking ground. That was really nice. Going through the smoke there, right? I like that our British player is building sandbags. Anytime you can throw down defensive structures, whether it's mines or sandbags or tank traps, pretty much anything to make your opponent's life more difficult is going to be good for you in the long term. Our German player has gone for Panzer Schreck here on this second Jaeger squad, adding on a third Jaeger squad now. That's going to make a tank transition difficult for our British player. He is adding on a company command post now. Doesn't have enough fuel to add on any tanks just yet, but will in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Infantry section charging headlong into this Jaeger. Black Panzer trying to get a flank on this AT guns, maybe trying to pick up this point here. AT guns well positioned, nice and far back, nice and safe, ready for rotations by that Black Panzer. Infantry section getting a flank here, but in jeopardy on the retreat. It might make it okay. Barely gonna get out of there, I think. And Royal Engineers closing the gap here, tossing a grenade into those Jaegers on the retreat. German player adding on a mortar here. I love mortars, and I think I like them more than most players, like I was talking about earlier. I actually like this mortar, despite the fact that our British player doesn't have a ton of weapon teams. He can use that mortar for smoke against these AT guns. He can use regular barrages to potentially damage the AT guns or force them to reposition. And of course, if he's having to deal with this heavy machine gun in this house, the mortar's going to do good things for him, as we're seeing here. Black Panzer fighting with this infantry section. Might see the AT guns follow up, which we do. I like that he's keeping his AT guns separate from each other. It's easy and tempting to run your AT guns with each other on the same weapon hot group. The same control group, right? And that causes them to sit next to each other, and that's easier for enemy tanks to engage them. Nice smoke grenades here. Going to throw a grenade into this heavy machine gun. Heavy machine gun barely going to escape that. Is going to get some damage on the retreat, but not going to pick it up. Pioneers in this house fighting off these Jaeger. I like that our German player is also playing pretty well here. He's keeping his vehicles together, and those two vehicles cover each other's weaknesses. He is respecting his opponent's AT guns. He's constantly repositioning, keeping those healthy. He's doing a lot of things right with those vehicles. This Jaeger squad isn't going to be able to stay here for very long. Looks like they're just going to get roasted, and they might win this fight, honestly. This infantry squad's got to go. I think they should get out of there okay. Royal Engineers closing the gap. AT guns moving up, seeing the vehicles from his opponent. Going to get shots on this Flak Panzer. And the Flak Panzer's going to have to bail out. Might see the armored car. Looks like he's hanging out down here, helping defend. And of course, our British player doesn't know this, but that entire bottom side is free real estate. Looks like he does have a Royal Engineer on that side. Love to see him repair this vehicle and also send down into this bottom side. Of course, he's doing lots of things at once, so it is what it is. Building more sandbags here. Excellent job. Allowing him to better hold this point. Heavy machine guns scouting with that camouflage, which is a statement I don't like saying. Royal Engineers probably going to have to bail out of here. Mortar, as predicted, being annoying for this heavy machine gun. Armored car moving in, trying to stop this interrogate from happening, but not quite going to do it. Is going to reveal his units in the fog of war. And yeah, that's actually really big for our Germans, seeing all those units over here. He even saw the Crusader 2, which our British player has just added on. So our German player is clearly saving up fuel. Looks like he is going to go for a King Tiger here. He's about, I'd say, about 4 or 5 minutes away. From a resource income perspective, he's 3 minutes away on manpower. That's assuming he doesn't lose any units in the meantime. But I think he's got a ways to go on command points there. Actually, let me take a quick look at that. Yeah, so he needs another 3 points. And depending how the fights go, it's going to be a few minutes. Both players have done a nice job bouncing back from their early losses. I think both players have ended up with a well-rounded composition. And they've also got some veterancy to show for it. I love continuing to be active with the scout car, armored car rather, smoking off. AT guns picking up that scout car, Crusader coming in. And this is definitely a favorable fight for our British player, because our German player does not have any dedicated anti-tank other than this Panzerschreck squad, which is a little bit out of position. He is, of course, adding on a Marder 3 right now. I think the Marder 3 is a good choice here. He does have the fuel to spare, even though he's saving up for a King Tiger. Crusader needs to get out of there. Respect that unit there. The machine gun's setting up, but is camouflaged. Crusader finding another Jaeger squad here. Jaeger's continuing to chase this Crusader. And it looks like it's going to be a nice little push by both players here. That was a nice little AT grenade. Crusader respecting those Jaegers. Nicely done. Both players making good use of their units. Chasing each other around a little bit, right? Going for each other's weaknesses. I mean, those Jaegers, their one and only job is to chase this Crusader, and that's what they were doing. And they were being covered by the Flak Panzer the entire way. Our British player was pushing in with his forces to protect the Crusader that was on the retreat over here. It was just a really nice fight by both players. British player did manage to capture this bottom side. As advertised, it is free real estate. He is going to find these Jaegers over here. And the Jaeger's getting the opening volley there, so I think our British player is ultimately going to lose that side. We'll see how it goes. Mortar continuing to try to find these AT guns in the fog of war. Long-range fight here. I do believe this favors the Jaegers, especially because one of these infantry section has a flamethrower, but he is going to give up that position. Crusader pushing into this side over here. A little bit risky leading the charge with your Crusader, of course. It's easy to run into a mine or an AT gun. Fortunately for him, didn't run into either. And I don't think he knows it, but there is a Marder on the field. And could have easily run into that. But gonna get out just fine. Second Crusader abusing the fact that he knows the Panzerjägers are on the top side. He still doesn't know that Marder's there, but he hasn't seen any indication of it, so he's abusing his strength right now. Marder gonna get a shot on this Crusader. Crusader gonna back off. Should get out of there, no problem. Wind closing on these AT guns. And did manage to wipe one of them on the retreat. Did manage to wipe both squads here. British player needs to save his AT guns. Did pick up that whirlwind by remounting the AT gun. Nicely done. Martyr going to pick up this Crusader, probably. Gonna barely... Yeah. Yep. I was wondering if it might miss there, but it did pick up the Crusader. Both players engaged on fights across the map here. And wow, this has turned into a really good game here. Not that it wasn't already, but the end of this part of the game has been just crazy. Martyr coming in, thinking about shooting at that scout car. Scout car respecting his opponent. Heavy machine gun is going to back off, letting these units do their thing. And yeah, so our German player has teched up to the King Tiger, and it looks like he is saving the manpower to bring that in. British player has a ton of manpower right now, adding on an infantry section. And it does look like he wants to go for this Black Prince as well. Why is it telling me it doesn't have enough resources?
Victory point is under enemy control.
180, so he's going to have it in about 2 seconds here. Yeah, so when you're floating this much manpower, look at adding on team weapons. That's my advice. That's what I do. And by the way, I'm terrible about floating manpower. It can be tempting to let it float, you know, in case thing goes sideways. Maybe you feel like you've got a composition that you can manage, right? And I think that in the late game, support weapons can do a lot for you with little micro. Like, you could leave a mortar here along with your heavy machine gun and an AT gun, and you can leave it. You can even leave it kind of far back and not have to give it much micro. And you're using your manpower, right? And it is something that will help you. Black Prince on the field here. Looks like this AT gun is still available. I'd like to see our British player reman that, especially with this manpower he's got going on. Infantry section going to stop this capture from happening using that heavy cover that he invested in early in the game. And, you know, both players are pretty close to what their final compositions are going to look like. And I think that it has now become a game of defend the victory points. Nice, he did reman his second AT gun, getting multiple angles on this King Tiger. Black Prince covering the retreat of his infantry there. Martyr getting its money's worth, penetrating that front armor of that Churchill. That is impressive to see. Black Prince, of course, has 440 front armor, and I think the King Tiger does as well. So both beasts in their own right here.
Victory point belongs to the enemy.
German sneaking in here, capturing away this point. Looks like our British player did lose that heavy machine gun at some point. Feels like he might need it to cover at least one of these points. So I think at this stage of the game, you know, I was saying that players like to camp here, you know, right out front of their base, or right here as we're seeing both players doing, because it's an easy spot to sit. But it looks like our British player's interested in holding down that top side, so I wouldn't mind him sitting more in this area, which is a little further, of course, but does allow him to respond to threats on both the top and the bottom. Flare coming out from our German here. Mortar getting involved with that. Gonna blast these AT guns. Royal Engineer's gonna flare up this Black Prince, but that mortar barrage is all it took for him to push back these units. AT gun gonna have to reposition again here. King Tiger gonna capitalize on that. Looks like he might push up on this top side, pick up that top victory point. British player trying to pick up this bottom side, getting a flank on that heavy machine gun. Not quite going to work out for him. German trying to prevent the British player from recapturing this point here. Martyr set up in long range mode. Blasting that Black Prince. King Tiger's been fully repaired. And that might be a dead Royal Engineer. That would be an unfortunate loss at this stage. And, yep. Yeah, that was a nice little push by our German player there right at the end. Got his mortar involved. Pushing those AT guns back. Followed it up with his King Tiger and Martyr. Able to drive back the Black Prince. And then, to put a nail in the coffin, did a pamphlet barrage to make his opponent retreat. That was a really great game by both players. I think, yeah, that was just a great game. I have a lot to say, and folks generally stop watching at this stage in the video anyway. So I think I'm going to call it there. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.